Hello, friends. Welcome to the HireMyVA Team and Business Building Podcast, brought to you by ugozi.com. In this podcast and at HireMyVA, we help you to reclaim your freedom through hiring and thriving with virtual assistants without breaking the bank. Of course, that means your bank. I'm Dave Braun, and as usual, I'm here with Larry Broughton, my fantastic friend and mentor. You know, Larry, you're traveling through life with me. I love it. It's fun. Challenging in so many ways, but we're both growing and have our struggles, but we're moving forward. And Larry, you know, you've coached so many people. We just can't even, keep count. So it's an honor to work with you, my friend.
Thank you, handsome Dave. It's good to see you. You haven't even commented. Like, I'm in a unique place.
Yeah, where the heck are you?
This is my mobile office, as it turns out. I've been kicked out of my office, and so I'm recording from the car. So, my friends, I apologize if the audio is not great or if the video is not great. But we're going with the flow. You know, Entrepreneurship, it never ends, right? You do what you have to do to get things done. So here we are.
So the important thing is the content, correct?
Right.
Yeah. You guys if you get hung up on the audio, sometimes you're going to miss out on a lot of stuff in life.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how many people actually even notice.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've got a cool topic today.
All right. What is it?
All right. So this is episode 123. And our question is how to hire someone where you don't have the expertise or you know nothing about the position.
Oh gosh, this is a really good question.
And guess what? We are gonna, if you're growing your business, you are gonna face that. We are all gonna face that.
That's where I was going with this, because as businesses grow, we have to take on more responsibilities. And you and I were just talking about somebody who's in one of our programs, and their business is growing, and they've got to switch up roles, right? And it's outside of their skill set to actually not just interview, but manage someone who's in their stable of team members.
Yeah.
So this is a really good question. This is why masterminds are so darn important.
Oh, great point.
One of the things is, if you're in a strong mastermind of, say, 8 or 10 or 15 other business owners, they can help you with this kind of stuff, right? I remember the first time I hired a CFO, it was way outside my skill set, right? And so I had other CFOs that I knew. First, I went to referrals for them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if there's people that you know, love, and trust, start there with referrals, right?
Right.
There's nothing wrong with either bringing in someone into the interview process, Dave, or having them do the initial few interviews, and then you do the final, kind of find out, do they fit the core values? Do they understand the vision and mission? How do you work with personality wise? So those are three recommendations right there. Masterminds, tap into the power of your mastermind. Yes. Right there. If you're not in a mastermind program or you don't have a mentor or coach, you're wrong. Let's just start there. You got to do that. The other thing is, as I mentioned, just to recap where we are so far, have somebody who is an expert in this area do the interviews for you until a certain point, and then you do the kind of final interviews to make sure that they fit the core values and the vision and the mission. But I'm going to hand this over to you while I take a drink here. But they had this crazy thing out there. It's kind of a new invention called the World Wide Web.
Yeah. Well, guess what? Yeah, I think this is kind of your friend in this case, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and I think that even when you take recommendations from people, even when you hire somebody to help you or have somebody help you, you've got to at least know a little bit. Larry, I think it's, in a way, it's kind of like if you have an issue that you're going to go to a lawyer and have them work with you to resolve a case, you should you should know a little bit enough about the law in your case and what's going to happen so that you are sure that this lawyer is not going to steer you down the wrong road, even if that lawyer has been recommended by somebody else.
yeah, clearly you need to rely on experts, Dave. I think that's what you're saying, right? But
Yes.
this is just one of the responsibilities of an entrepreneur, leader, business owner. You have to be dedicated to lifelong learning. If you don't know more about different business functions in your business today than you did 5 years ago, I hate to say it again, that's the second, you're wrong. You need to be doing this. You constantly need to be learning. I know a lot more about the CFO, finance, accounting space today than I did when I hired my first CFO.
Oh, sure.
I know how to structure deals now. I know how to read financial statements like inside and out. You've seen me do it, right? So you have to continue to learn. All right, but Larry, I'm running my business. Well, sorry. You got to be so passionate about this that in your downtime, this is your hobby, learning more about your business, right?
Yeah.
But Larry, I want work-life balance. You're in the wrong space then. There is no such thing as work-life balance. I was at an event this past weekend, Dave, just to get sidetracked for a second. They were talking about work-life balance.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, no high achiever has ever said, I'm going to spend 40 hours doing this and 40 hours doing that. And there's no such thing. If you want to be excellent in anything, you need to be obsessed with it. It's just the way it is. What you need to be searching for is not work-life balance, but boundaries.
Correct.
Okay.
We did a whole podcast on that.
Sure did. And I was going to mention that. So go search for that one, Dave. Maybe you can do a quick search, or at some point we can put a link to that podcast. But yeah, it's going to take some extra effort, Dave, for you to get up to speed on whatever area it is that you don't know about. But the internet, YouTube, is great at finding the basics on it, right? So you can say, hey, let's say that you're hiring, I talked about the CFO. Let's say you're trying to hire an accountant. Best questions to ask accountants. That's a quick internet search.
Yeah, let's demonstrate that.
Okay, what do you mean?
I'm going to share my screen.
All right, so share your screen, David.
All right, let me share my screen. And all right, so let's do this.
Now you're going to prove me wrong.
No. I got my notes here. Sorry, you may see my notes from the episode. So let's do this. Let's search for accountant interview questions. Okay. We kind of did this ahead of time, but you can see one of the things you want to do is some of the first results will be great, but you go to a site like this, and of course there's lots of fluff ahead of time and all that. But what you want to, sorry?
Just show me the questions.
Yeah, let's get down to the questions. So here's a question, for example, one of the biggest challenges. But one of the things that you want to make sure that you do is, and this site is kind of good, is that you want to see an example answer or have an understanding of what you are looking for in the answer. If you ask a question of somebody like this and you have, no idea how they might answer, then you can still get fooled.
All right. I hope he's got better questions, because that's if you don't know, they can tap dance around it.
Yeah, do you have prior experience with this, right? And that's a little bit soft. I don't know about this question, but you get, here's a bunch here. What skills do you think are essential for
accountants? There you
accountants?
go. Now we're getting there. Now we're getting somewhere. Right.
Yeah. Can you describe an accounting process that you help develop or improve?
There you go.
Okay. Now there should be, at some point when you're coming up with these questions or where you're looking at these, you should have a little bit of an idea, like I said, about what the answer might be.
Yeah. Well, let's not forget as well, Dave, your mastermind is a great resource. Just your business network. If you're not in a mastermind, start asking folks. Your tax accountant or your CPA might have some recommendations for you.
Yeah, and another search you can do is you can search for mistakes that blank position makes.
There you go.
Search for that. And then you can, even one of your questions could be, hey, I've read that here's one of the biggest mistakes that blank make. Is that true? Or you can ask them what they think are the biggest mistakes. If they don't have an idea of what some of those mistakes are, then they probably don't know the position very well. Because if they've been in it for a while, then they probably have made those mistakes.
Yeah, yeah. And good interview questions are going to flush all this kind of stuff out,
Yeah.
right? One of the questions I always like to ask is to talk, if we were to line up all of your performance appraisals that you've ever had, tell me about those areas that you really excelled at. Okay, there's probably a theme also of areas that people wish that you were a little better. Tell me about those and dive into that area, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Now, don't forget reference checks. I don't know why. I was doing a kind of informal survey a few years ago with business owners who were interviewing people and asked them, do you actually do reference checks? And so many people don't do reference checks. Right now, I know there are some states where it's very difficult to do reference checks because most people are so afraid of the litigiousness of the work environment right now that they just, all they'll do is confirm dates and whether they're eligible for rehire or not. But, you know, you get to the right person in the organization, like that's if you're calling HR. If you actually call other people, some people are willing to give up the goods, you know. So don't discount reference checks. But also, once you start doing the interview, not the interview, the research that you were talking about, like what are some best interview questions, what are common mistakes, and you tap into your mastermind or your network, maybe develop a quick quiz that you could pose to everyone, right? I'm surprised, we're talking about accountants, but how many accountants don't know basic math or they can't do it very fast, right? So you can always come up with some kind of quiz for it. But this is sometimes where it's even more important, Dave, not to forget the thing that the mic thing or mic thing, however you want to define it, right?
Agree.
Where we ask questions around 3 different areas that are very important: their motivation, their integrity, and their capacity, right? If there's somebody who's highly motivated and they have lots of integrity, then they should have some capacity, and they've got capacity to grow, then they have capacity to learn, right?
Yes.
So let's say you get along really well with this person, they've got a lot of integrity, you know, you can send them to there are tons of what's the online learning platform, skill set, where you can go to conferences and small seminars and those kind of things to get people up to speed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So there's a lot of ways that you can do this.
Yeah, I agree. And for some of these positions, you've also got to make sure that you have in the back of your mind, you've got to have an idea of how much training you're willing to let them take. Do they have to come in and totally hit the ground running? Do they have to be an A+ expert, or can they be high in MIC and take a little bit of time to get up to speed?
Yeah. So I guess as we wrap this thing up, Dave, don't be afraid to do some research. Mm-hmm. Reach out to your mastermind members. It's going to take some extra time. I know that this is probably, if you're a new business, maybe you've been outsourcing this, so maybe use your outsource as a resource. Talk to your whatever skill. We've been using the example of an accountant for this purpose. So you talk to your CPA or your tax accountant. But if it's a marketing thing, talk to anybody in the marketing arena that you know. If it's a developer type of person, talk to all the developers that you know. You're going to have to get out of your comfort zone, I guess, is what I'm trying to say, Dave, right?
Yeah.
And you're going to have to humble yourself a little bit. I think the worst thing, Dave, not the worst thing, among the worst things I've seen people do is to pretend that they know what they don't really know, because experts will snip it out and it will just undermine your credibility.
Yeah.
I think what you say is, I've been outsourcing this for a while. I want to bring this in-house. I'm not an expert at it, and so I'm looking for an expert. And you could say, I know enough to be dangerous. Just be honest, but know enough where you can ask them questions where they can't snow you. And I can't tell you, early in my career, I had experts outside my company interview folks. And then just to say, I'm going to say it again, I'm going to hit people over the head with this. If you're not in a mastermind, this is one of the great reasons why you should be in a mastermind, because they can help you out. They can come in and interview people with you or for you.
Yeah. We've done it. Remember that one time for a client, they were searching for a COO position, and we interviewed a few folks for them.
Several of them, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And
then
it
we
was
rank them in order that we thought that they ought to be hiring them. And yeah, absolutely.
And it really helped.
I just want to tell people, this is not like out of the ordinary. You're not alone on this. It happens all the time. And so if you're to reach out to your mastermind members or your coach or mentor and say, hey, I need help on this, they're not going to be surprised by this. It's part of our growing process.
Yeah.
But so many of us, Dave, we get wrapped up, oh, I'm the only one who's insufficient in this area. No, we are all fake, not all. Many of us are faking it till we make it, you know, or did it at one point in our career until we've learned lessons along the way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, those are some great tips. And I think with all of these different tips, especially Larry, especially the mastermind, having a network of folks that you can rely on. I mean, that's just good for your life and your business, irrespective of this particular question.
For sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, so let's wrap this up. Thank you, folks, for joining us and being with us today. Remember, building a team is the way to reclaim your freedom. And you've got to do some of these tips we talked about if you're going to build a quality team. But if you need some help, we are here to help you with our course and community and our white glove service, where we find a rockstar VA for you. So 3 things we'd love for you to do, and we'd really appreciate it. Number 1, subscribe to this podcast. If you haven't already done so, either on your iPhone or Android phone, and on YouTube, hit the little subscribe button and the bell next to it. Hopefully you get reminders for that. Number 2, give us a rating, of course. We'd love for you to do that. Leave some kind of a comment below the video, anything, ask a question. We'll get in there and we'll comment and answer that question for you. This will also help us to get the word out. And then number 3, go to HireMyVA.com for more information on our course and community and our white glove service. Because remember, even without experience, you'll learn how to prepare for, hire, and thrive with virtual assistants. Larry and I have helped a lot of folks. We want to help you too. So just go to HireMyVA.com for more information.
Well, that's right. Hey, my friends, go do something significant today. The world is begging for that. All right.
Yeah.
God bless you. God keep you and God hold you. All right. We'll catch you on the flip side. See you later.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
Peace out.